What do we have here? Well, we got ourselves a hub, and we're going to go and explore how to repack the bearings and clean it all up after this.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hi, I'm Justin, the guy. Obviously, of a garage shop. Taking scary how to use bikes one bike at a time.
If you like these videos, please like and subscribe.
Welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hey, we are going to explore how to take this little booger apart, clean it, and readjust and put it back together. Typically, these are found on the wheel. Well, this particular hub is off the wheel, of course, but I figured this will be a great opportunity to give you a great inside detail without playing around the spokes and the rims to try to figure out how this all works. Well, this is a Gary Fisher hub 90s series, very similar to your typical, standard hubs of early yesterday. This is where they flanged everything out, so it gives you a little more, strength, lighter weight, that kind of deal. But it still is a ball bearing hub, just like this one, but a little more flared out. Also, the Trek made what they called System 1, System 2, System 3. This is basically the Gary Fisher, which I believe is probably a System 1. Same hub, same manufacturer. Anywho, we're going to first take off the dust seals. And this actually, just get a little poker underneath there, lightly kind of try to get it over the edge. Boop. It flies away. That's why I'm doing it on the counter, so if it doesn't fall on the floor, try to find it. This exposed the lock nut and the cone. The cone will show you what that looks like here in a second. And first, this feels pretty good actually, but there's something I want to just repack it with a fresh lube and also give it a good cleaning. To disassemble these, I may not need both of these. I don't know what exact is a 13 millimeter or a 15 millimeter. Sometimes they're mixed with a 15 and a 17. Well, yeah, par for the course. It just got me stumped on this guy. So we are looking at a 17. Okay, front hubs are usually a 13 cone with a 15 lock or 15 or 17 lock nut. So just to prove a point, that's what I was looking for. And this is the next size up. And then it would have been usually a 17 box wrench you would use on this guy. Going back to the original, this guy here is a 17 and a 17. Well, I don't have two 17s, so I'm going to use an 18, which is pretty close, only on the top lock nut. And they do not make adjustable wrenches for cone wrenches, which is your skinnier wrenches. The reason being is like kind of enough contact. I know it's not the best scenario, but it's something where we have to work with. Or unless you go buy another second set of 17. So we got the lock nut, which is a little bit different. Goes kind of on the outside, right? And we unscrew this guy out. This is the cone. And why they call it a cone? Getting slippery. It's called a cone because it's basically a crazy long cone. This one's longer than your typical cones that are out there. Let's take a cloth here and show you. The ball bearings are going to roll on what they call the cone race. And you want it to be clean, smooth. If it is show wear, you want that wear to be equal all the way around the cone itself. So we're going to put this in a little basket here. We're going to throw these in the ultrasonic cleaner as we take it all apart to get a good cleaning. And this should just slide out like so. So this is what we call the fixed side. You do not need to take this apart unless you really want to. You just want to make sure it's tight, and we will do that when we readjust the hub. And it'll be only as close as possible being without the wheel, because you don't have that leverage having the whole wheel space there. But we're going to clean that too. And we're going to, with a magnet, pull out all these ball bearings. And what we're looking for ball bearings, back in the day, we would just replace them anyway. Nowadays, you kind of want to just save as much as you can and not prevent them going to the landfill. So we want to look for is very shiny ball bearings. So you don't want to have, don't discriminate against, ball bearings. If they get old and wrinkly, dull, then then you might want to pitch them out. Yeah. And there's two sides to this. So we got two sets of ball bearings. Idea is sometimes you get one side is bad and one is not. And you can tell by just if they're not shiny and they're dull, then they really will shine up after the ultrasonic cleaner. So we'll put these all together. Don't have to really distinguish them between each other. And I like to wipe down the seals, get as much grease off as possible before you put an ultrasonic cleaner, because it just gives it a better chance for cleaning. And also would put the skewer in there, but I already cleaned the skewer with ultrasonic cleaner. So now we just basically have what they call the hub shell, which is basically the big aluminum paperweight that we have here. So we're going to dump this in the ultrasonic cleaner as we speak. Say, push some more button. Push it. Push it. I dare you to push it. Once you push that button, you get more details about the video you are watching, in addition to all the tools that I use in the shop, as well as suggestion for improving your ride. In addition to help me provide advocacy in the cycling community, also links to other social media accounts as well as my website to find the products I actually sell and other insights in the industry. Other videos linked below. Extend your cycling experience here on YouTube. And now back to your original programming. So let that cook for 5 minutes, right? So we're going to go ahead and get into this hub. And as we're cleaning this hub, we're going to get all that grease out as much as possible. Oh, there's a random ball bearing still in there. Boop, better go save him. Find his buddies. So what's going on in ultrasonic cleaner? It's half or one solution of simple green and the rest of it's warm water, and it has a heating element to this. So to really clean that out, sometimes we got to get a little more powerful, use like a brake cleaner or carb cleaner, but be very careful. And always when you use aerosols, it's directly onto the part itself, off of the bike. Do not spray anything when it's on the bike. It's always when you're isolating the part or the frame or whatever, you can do those sprays. So I'm really trying to get that surface area where the ball bearings roll up against clean, like so. Get out all that old grease out. All right, so I'm feeling pretty good. It's getting all cleaned off. So for the external portion of this, what we're going to use is a surface cleaner. This is from Lithium. And again, with any kind of sprays, I usually like to put the spray directly onto a rag or an applicator. And what we're going to do is we're going to clean the surface of the hub. And this is probably the only time you're going to get to the hub and all the little bits and clean it really good. And this one's going to be prepped to be threaded at some point into a hub or into a wheel. So we want to clean all those surfaces areas really good. And that just takes off all that contaminants that is exposed to over the years. And it's starting, you see a shine of cleaning all this off. And I'm using a surface cleaner for detailing because it has a lot of characteristics of the auto industry. as in parts. So that's where you got the lithium surface cleaner. Then from there, what I'm going to do is really pre-treat this. Since this has a really hard time getting to it because you'll have spokes in the way to really clean this, I want to treat this as best as possible, clean it so when it's all strung up, it's well protected. So here we have is a ceramic slam from lithium. This is basically a ceramic cleaner or coat. So what I'm going to do is with any sprays again, always go either onto your rag or applicator. So I'm going to put some on this applicator here. And what I'm doing is I'm going to put a coat on the aluminum shell here to give it an extra protection. What this ceramic does is going to add a layer of UV protection, also prevent any kind of corrosion happening. And yeah, you're thinking aluminum, it doesn't corrode. Well, aluminum does oxidize. So this will reduce that oxidation rate as well. So I'm going to give it a good coating. Then I'm going to set it aside. And while that's drying, I'm going to rinse off my ball bearing and cone and axle. So since we have these all cleaned off, I just slide them all out of the basket from the ultrasonic cleaner. This as well. And I proceed to make sure I get all the rest of the bits dried off and cleaned. And the trick with the ball bearings is you get them all huddled up in a little group, and on this industrial type paper towel, just kind of roll them around so they dry off, and also if there's any extra little contaminants on there are going to come off as well. And then I double wipe off the seals, and then I go ahead and proceed to clean the cone, since there's still some grease in there, not much though, and then the lock nut itself. Oh, these two just keep on wanting to escape. Get back in there. So you can see how shiny they are, right? The shininess is an indicator that it's actually in pretty good shape. And you're going to look at is 1, 2, 3. Oh. Have extra ball bearings just in case they either drop one or one looks compromised, that kind of thing. And also with the ceramic, it's also you can use it on rubber too. And I'll actually give it a little bit extra life and prevent the UV and dry rotting, basically what happens to rubber. Like so. And now I'm going to do another application. You do a couple layers and wait 5 to 10 minutes for each layer. That would really protect it. Plus, when you do it multiple times, it definitely would give you the opportunity of covering the whole surface area. And ceramic is fine on metal parts. Actually, it helps it prevention of rust and so forth. So we're going to let that dry, then we'll proceed to put it all back together. All right, so we're ready to put it back together. First, we need to basically, that's bearing grease. This one's from Finish Line. I like the white lithium grease, or is it called a Teflon grease, not lithium. The Teflon in there. What that does is, I like the white because you can kind of tell the contaminants when it's really black, you know, your time to replace. This has been a practice we've been using for over 30 years. But there's a lot of other greases that are really good out there, so I'm not going to preach on this particular one. Get that little fuzz out of there. There we go. So now, place each ball bearing in here. So what you're looking for is an equal distribution of bearings all the way around, like so. Then put an extra layer of grease on the outside and you massage that in so it looks all clean and professionally packed. On to the second side. Massage that in to equalize the other side. So now we have two packed bearings and the grease will hold itself in position. So you want to, a lot of times, have a fixed side. What does that mean is one side is tight. So tight as you can. So that's your fixed side. Same thing with cranks. The cranks are usually the fixed side, this side here, then you adjust on this side. That's what we're going to do the same here. This one is not directional. Some old school rear hubs, this will have a different length to them for threading. So you want to keep that in mind. So if you're working on something some vintage, but front wheels are pretty much universal or same, mirrored on both sides. So first we put in the axle with the fixed side, then gently, not cross threading, the cone back into position. And you'll stop at a certain point. Then you want to kind of give it a good feel, make sure everything's settled in to where it's supposed to. Just in case if one of those ball bearings kind of dropped or moved, this actually feels really good. Then we go ahead and put our lock nut back into place. Not forcefully, you should be able to thread these on by hand, not to force it. And we got that set there. Then we proceed to lock this down. And again, to do that fine adjustment, we won't know until you have the spokes and the rim on there to get a real torque to see if it's loose or tight, but you can get it pretty close here. And that's always pretty much a rule of thumb when you're working with any wheels, with any hubs. Where are you? There you are. So tighten that down. Good to go. Wipe off any excess. Give it a good little extra cleaning here. Then you proceed to put your seals back on. And sometimes the seals will make the hub feel a little more stiff because of the just contact of it. That's why you want to adjust the hubs with the seals off so you can get a very good understanding where that hub is sitting, as in how it feels. And here is my little extra trick, is once I get this all wiped off and clean, for a third coating, then I take the ceramic slam coating here, just a couple squirts, and then I just reapply it one last time, including the seals on there. And what this does is gives you that third layer of protection. So water and gunk will slide off of this, as well as protecting it from UV and contaminants. So it does multiple voila. There's our Gary Fisher. Then with the skewer, what I like to do with these is take a little bit of Tri-Flow Superior Lube. I like to put it on the pivots here so it makes it a little bit easier to open and close. Then I take a thin layer of grease, put it on the skewer itself. So here's a couple little tips of professionalism. So you see the name here, right? Gary Fisher. Well, this is not the forward direction this wheel will be, because the rear hub, if it had Gary Fisher on it, would be facing towards you as the rider to read it. So if I'm on the bike, I can read it. The skewers always go on the left-hand side, so that's where this is going to go. And then you put your skewer in place as well. Another little tidbit, here's your really fancy wheel building back in the day. Well, you know you have a hole for the Presta valve or Schrader valve. That's where the valve goes through for the tube, right? Well, if you lace this correctly, you should see through that Presta valve and Schrader valve hole the actual name of the hub. I have yet to see a hub that I've worked on that's looked like it's been custom built currently that has that attention to detail. That was something lost in the 90s, but that particular hub, you know, the like Shimano, Gary Fisher, White Lightning, whatever, or White what was that one? White Industries, you'd have a logo and you would try to place that rim to look right at that logo. Amazing little details that my dad really put an emphasis on when he built wheels back in the 90s. I think it kind of got lost over the last decade or so. So there you have it. I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to add a little ceramic coating to the skewer itself, a little outer protection, and lo and behold, there's your beautiful Gary Fisher spoon skewer front hub. Well, if you like particular hub, you like seeing information like this, I have more videos. Go ahead and subscribe, and you will find more videos like this, as well as my topics of the industry, in addition to long content on this old bike, where I take apart a bike and basically you go through the history of it, in addition to little tips and tricks and every particular model that I work on. So anyway, thank you for spending time with me in the garage. If it's beautiful in your neck of the woods, please go out for a ride. Until next time, in the garage.